Hi everybody, hope you're well. This video is requested by rasmafluffes, and this is going to be about breeding for certain traits with your horses. So I'm going to cover purebreds, and I'm also going to talk about crossbreds. But the very first thing, if you want to breed your horses to get certain traits from them, you need to understand why you want certain traits. So for example, say you wanted a really good horse for trot competitions, or you wanted a really good horse for dressage, for example. You need to understand what makes a good trot horse or what makes a good dressage horse. So first off, what we will do is we will just have a look at competitions. Now, you can do this with any of your horses at all. This will be the same for them. So what we're going to do is I'm going to click on trot, okay. And it's this box up the top that we're concerned with, and I've mentioned this before in videos that I've done about competitions. Those three skills that are within that box are the three skills that are the most important for this type of competition. So what I immediately get from that is if I want a good trot horse, I need a horse that's good in trot, speed, and dressage. Now, if I go back and we click a different competition type, for example, once again, the box at the top, the three skills. This time it's dressage, trot, and gallop. Okay? So we'll just go back to trot because I'm going to immediately use trot for this example, but you can apply it to lots of different disciplines, just changing the skills. So the first thing to note is the skill that's at the top of the box is the primary. And the primary has the most influence in terms of how well the horse does in the competition. So if you want your horse to do well, you want to have a horse that has good trot skills, for example, in this example. And speed and dressage, while they are secondary to that, they're still an important component of that. So you could have a horse that is magnificent in trot, but it's rubbish in speed and dressage, like really bad. So it might not do so well against a horse that's reasonably good at trot and also pretty good at speed and dressage. You have to think about it like that. You have to fine tune it. And you'll find this out if you test it out a few times with different kind of horses. You sort of have to sort of get a feel for it. There are percentages for this, you can look up, and if you Google competition percentages, you can actually get those. Some of them I have seen, some people argue they're a little bit different than they used to be and so forth, but have a look and it will give you a basis to work with, okay? There are on the international forums, I know that people have them posted. I don't believe they have them for all, but for most they do. I'm not going to talk about those in this video, but from this, right, you might decide that, okay, I now know that I need a horse that's good trot, speed, and dressage. And you could go and you should look, go and find a horse that's good in that. But how do you do that? One of the things is looking at the foundation horses. This is quite a good thing to do. So I've got a foundation here, and it's this thing here, and you want to do this for each breed. If you click here, it takes you to the statistics page, and this is what you're concerned with. Basically the skill set of the horse. So as you can see from this, for example, this horse is exceptionally good at gallop, and it's quite good at dressage, and it's quite good at speed. But it's very poor in trot. So that's a horse that may not be quite good, wouldn't be good at trot competitions. That's what you could sort of gain from that. Now, from that, what you might think is, okay, well, what if I just make it better in trot? I have done this myself, and a lot of other people have done it. Trying to make a purebred horse switch its skills, you can only go so far before you'll hit a brick wall. Now, basically what I mean by this is, I decided there was a horse that I wanted to improve the trot skill in, and it wasn't particularly good at trot, and I worked to try and get the trot skill up, and I got the trot skill up a little bit. So basically what I was doing was whenever I bred a foal, I was looking at the foal, I would breed another foal, and I would look at the foal again in its trot skills, and I would compare the two and look and see, right, which one had better trot, which one was giving me a better gain overall. And I used a lot of different methods for this over the years. And what I found was I could move it so far with a lot of those different methods, but once I hit the maximum that I could get, it was like until I actually moved its better skills forward. What I mean by that, like for example with this horse, I could be totally disregarding. What I was doing was I was totally disregarding, for example, gallop. Say it was a Welsh pony and I wanted to make it better in trot. I would totally disregard the gallop, but I was trying to push trot higher, but I couldn't push trot higher until I let gallop go higher. But because of the way the skill sets are basically set out, the skills that the horse is better at, it gets better gains at. And the skills that it's very poor at, it gets lower gains at. So it's very, very hard to make a big difference. Now, having said that, just using this example, this horse here you can see is very close in how good it is in speed and dressage. Okay? 70% and 66. I have seen purebred horses change their skill sets. But this was actually not supposed to happen. And I did actually message contact us a really long time ago because I had a purebred horse that switched its skills. Suddenly, you know, if for just say for example it was a Welsh horse, or a Welsh pony, its best original skills were speed, dressage, and gallop, and suddenly the dressage got lower than the stamina. So suddenly I actually had to work on stamina, speed, and gallop into the dressage. So it actually switched. And I messaged them and I said, "This has happened. I don't really, is this supposed to happen?" And I was basically told no, it wasn't supposed to happen. But because on that occasion the skills were so close together, it kind of just flung a little bit, and in that occasion it did switch. But for very significant differences, it's very, very hard to move them. Okay, so like, for example, if you wanted to make this Welsh horse better in trot than it is in gallop, I'm pretty sure from what I've had in like what I've tried over the years, you can't do it with a purebred horse. It just doesn't. You hit that wall. The way that these are hard coded into the game is to prevent you doing that, to prevent you ending up with. Because if you think about it, if we could really manipulate the skills of the horses, like severely manipulate them, we could end up with some really, odd horses, and it would be very hard to get stars because you could have one Welsh pony one day that was fantastic at jumping, and the next foal was rubbish at jumping, and you'd actually, it was fantastic at stamina instead, and it would be very, very hard to keep getting stars with that. So what I'm saying in purebred breeding is you're better picking a breed that is going to be reasonably good at whatever discipline you want to use it for, or is going to be the better at it. So picking skill sets that match the competition types that you're looking for. So just for example, I know that this would be better at gallop, for example, than it would be at trot, because for gallop competitions, gallop is the primary skill. This Welsh pony's highest is gallop. And then speed and dressage, and the secondaries for gallop competitions, and they're also the second and third best skills for this particular Welsh pony. So that's why I would pick it for going down that route, for going down gallop competitions, for example. So if you're going to go purebred breeding, that is my advice. Pick a horse that is reasonably suitable for the discipline you want it for. There is going to be occasions where there are going to be horses who have better skill sets. What I mean by that, let's just compare and contrast. So we've got that Welsh, but I also got a Connemara here, so let's just try and open them up beside each other if I can. So I've got, I'll just bring that down a little bit so you can see. So here, for example, let's just say theoretically you were picking for cross country. Okay, cross country's primary skill requirement is stamina, and the secondaries are dressage and jumping. You compare these two, you can see that the Connemara is significantly better at stamina, dressage, and jumping than the Welsh. So you'd be better going for the Connemara for going down that line, for example. So whenever you're picking for purebreds, pick horses that are, you might be one of these people that just loves a breed and you think, I just want to do that. I want to use it for a purpose it's not specifically designed for, and that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But you're going to struggle against horses who are better genetically designed for those competition types. That's just the fact of it. Now, moving on to crossbred. So you might be thinking, well, there's a horse that has really good statistics in one, and there's a one with equally good skills in the other, and I'm going to combine the two. Crossbreeding is kind of fun because you sometimes don't know what you're going to end up with. So I will use, I'm just going to go to one of my favorite crossbreds that I ever produced. This one was, I think, a Frisian and a Connemara cross, as far as I remember. Yes. And it won the Grand Prix back in 2012. Really long time ago. And with this, you can see, now this is a half and half crossbred. So basically it's half one breed and half of another. And you can go for crossbreeds that have loads of different ones. Now with crossbreeding in itself, you have to pick horses with traits that you want and just keep sort of going with that. So picking two purebreds, for example, that you like the skills of, and then combine those, see what you get, and then try and shift that a bit and just keep refining it. So I would be noting down, this is the one key thing, if you want to breed for certain traits, keep a record of the traits of your horses. So write it down. It doesn't matter if you do it in a notepad or whether you do it in an Excel spreadsheet or whatever. I mean, personally I use Excel because it allows me to see the difference more visibly than it would be if I read it in the notepad, because also the fact that it does the sums for me and I can be lazy and not do those, which is great. So whenever you're doing crossbreeding, that is the thing, is pick the horses that have the right kind of traits already as purebreds and go from there and build upon that, because with crossbreds there isn't like the limit that there is with the purebreds so much, because when you crossbreed you can keep crossbreeding to get where you want to kind of go. But this is the thing to just sort of note, the characteristics, the genetics, whatever it's best at in 3, if you were to, I would say, cross this with a horse that's just the same of it, you'd start to get this whole blocking thing for this horse is, good at these 3. So you're going to, it kind of would be treated like a purebred again. So I think if you're looking to do really dramatic changes, you're better crossing over and over again, rather than going down, starting to almost go purebred with a crossbred horse, if that makes sense. Might not make any sense at all. Now just to mention a different type of horse, or a different type of crossbred. So if you have a look at this crossbred has loads of different bloodlines in it. Now there could actually be more than this, but the thing is, whenever it only shows the top 4, so the 4 highest percentages of that crossbred. And just to mention, if you're wondering, can a new breed a crossbred to the point that it's pure? No, that used to be a thing, but they stopped that. So you can see with this one, it's Connemara in it, it's got KWPN, it's got Thoroughbred, it's got Alcatiki, and it's got quite a large variety of skills you can see. So you can see that it's got stars in every aspect, which, just for example, with this crossbred only had stars in 3, but obviously it had lower GDP and all that as well. So these are sort of the things that you want to be taking into consideration. If you really want to breed for traits, decide on what traits you want, take note of them, and make sure you keep a progress of the traits that you're getting to see if you're getting the movement you want. Because if you find that you're trying to get certain traits and you're just not getting them, you either need to rethink it a bit or just figure out that it isn't going to work, like I did with some of mine. And then, sometimes you get real surprises and something really odd happens, like that time that my purebred horse switched its skills and I was like really confused. But that was not supposed to happen. So that's, I think, kind of it for the moment. I don't want to do any more for the moment because I think I'm starting to get a wee bit confusing. So anyway, thank you to rasmafluffes for requesting the video, and hope you have a lovely day. Bye!